Hi love, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Miss Ai and you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you my love, my darling, for always coming back. In today's class, we are making this beautiful, colorful granny stitch dress. This dress fits a size medium to large, but I'll walk you through for you to get your desired fit. Let's get right into class. I'll be using milk cotton 200 gram in these colors. So this is the yarn I'll be using, and also a 4.5 mm hook. So to begin with, we are going to be starting with the back panel. So make your slip knot, and according to the length of your dress, you are going to chain the number of chains that would be equivalent to your length. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 160. So with the length you are seeing on the mannequin is 160. If you're making for a size small, consider chaining 140, and if you want it short. And if you're making for a size large or a taller person, consider adding more chains. So after your 160, you are going to add 2 more chains. You are going to skip 3, and into the 4th stitch you are going to make a double crochet. Make a double crochet in the same stitch. Now you are going to skip 1 stitch, and in the next you are going to make 2 double crochets inside the same stitch. You are going to yarn over again, skip a stitch, and in the next stitch you are going to make 2 double crochets. So this is different from our usual our traditional granny square granny stitch, which we place 3 stitches in 3 double crochets in a stitch. So with this one, we are only placing 2 double crochet in a stitch, skip 1, and that is the pattern we'll be using. Again, if you want to use the traditional granny square stitch, then you are going to place 3 double crochets in the stitch, and you are going to skip 2 stitches instead of 1 stitch. So go ahead and I'll meet you at the end. At the end of the row, I'm going to place my last double crochet. So I'm not going to place 2 double crochet but 1. Now row 2, you are going to chain 3, turn your work. Inside the very first space in between your double crochet, you are going to place 2 double crochets. You are going to yarn over, skip the very first 2 double crochets, and place 2 double crochets in between that stitch. Yarn over again, and in between the 2 double crochet stitches you are going to place 2 double crochets. Yarn over again and make 2 double crochets in between the stitch, and you are going to keep repeating this for row 2 until the end of row 2. I'll meet you at the end of row 2. So at the end of the row, now you are going to place your last double crochet in the very last stitch. There you go. So not 2 double crochet but just 1 double crochet. We always end with a double crochet. So you are going to chain 3, turn your work. In the very first space you are going to place 2 double crochets. In the next space, now the spaces are more clearer, so you are going to place 2 double crochets. Yarn over. In the next space you are going to place 2 double crochets. Again, if you use the traditional granny square method, granny stitch method, which is 3 double crochets, then go ahead and keep placing 3 double crochets in between your stitches, just as I am placing 2 double crochets. So go ahead and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So at the end of the row, you are going to make your last double crochet in the very last stitch. Now for row 4, you are going to chain 3, again turn your work, and you are going to place 2 double crochets in the very first stitch. And in the next space, you are going to place 2 double crochets, and you are going to keep placing 2 double crochets in between stitches until the end of the row. So this is basically the pattern for our work for the back panel. So you are going to keep working your back panel until I'm going to keep working until I have 18 rows. That is for size medium to large. But if you're making for a size small, consider working about 15 rows. And if you're making for extra large, consider working 20 rows. But for medium to large, work 18 rows. So I'm going to work 18 rows of this color, and I'll meet you when I'm done with my 18 rows and we proceed. If you're using only one color for your work, then instead of stopping on your 18th row, you are going to just go ahead and work 26 rows for your back panel. So that's 18 plus 18. So don't pause when you get to 18, just keep working. That is if you are using only one color. But if you want to mix your colors just as I did, then you are going to stop on your 18, just work until you have 18 rows. And if you're making for a size small, consider working 15 rows, and if you're making for extra large, consider working 20 rows. So this is my 18 rows completed, and that is my stitch. So I'm counting to be sure, but this is 18 rows. Now the pattern consists of one big back panel and 2 front panel. So this measures 10 inches. For my first 18 rows, it measures 10 inches. Again, the pattern consists of a back panel, one big panel, and 2 front panel. So if you're making your first front panel, it's just going to be the same exact format, just that with the front panel we'll be switching colors. But you are going to start with your 160 chains, or however chains you started from the beginning. And yes, but this is my back panel. So I'm done with the first 18 rows. So now we are going to be switching up colors and work 18 more rows so that the back panel would be 36 rows. If you're making for a size small, then your back panel would be 30 rows. So you end at 15 and switch up colors and make 15 more rows, which would be 30. And if you're making for a size small, extra large, then your back panel would be 40 rows. So now row 19, I'm going to switch up my color and I'm going to make a slip knot and pull through. So this is how to switch your color, and we are going to be using the same exact pattern. So chain 3 and turn your work. In the very first space, you are going to place your first 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now you are going to place your 2 double crochets in each space, just as we did for row 2, 3 and 4. So it's the same pattern. So you are going to keep placing 2 double crochets in each space until the end of the row. So there you go. So place 2 double crochets in each stitch. So with this color, I'm going to be working 3 rows of this particular color, and I'm going to switch to my next color, work a few more rows, and I'll let you know how I did. But all in all, you are just switching up colors, but the ultimate goal is to work 18 rows of you switching colors. So you can just switch up however you want to switch up your colors. That is totally up to you and it's fine. You can decide to work only with 2 colors of yarn. So in this case, you would work we are done with our first 18, so you go ahead and work 18 more rows for your second color. So you can do this as you want, just be creative and work your 18 other rows, and I'll meet you when I'm done switching up my colors. If you want to go with what I did, then watch until I'm done with my 18 rows, and you would put my colors into consideration when working yours. So I'll meet you at the end of my 18 rows. So this is 3. So I'm done working with my 3 rows. So I'm going to switch up to my third color. So make a slip knot and pull through and fasten and chain 3. So nothing has changed, just that we are switching up colors. So chain 3 and turn your work, and in the very first stitch you're going to place 2 double crochets, and you're going to keep switching up your colors again until you have 18 rows. So this is my row number 4. If you've made it up until this point and you haven't subscribed to the channel, my love, my darling, my baby, please do. This is the little you can do to always motivate us to come to class. So do your part by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and let us know you were in class today. So I'm going to go ahead and complete my row 4, 5, 6, 7 until my row 18, and I'll meet you when I'm done with my row 18. So this is my row 17, my row 18, and I'm going to chain 1, cut and fasten my work, and this is what your work should be looking like. So 18, so this is what my work looks like, and yeah. So we have 18 of no mix and 18 of mixed, which makes our back panel complete. So at the end of your back panel, at the end of my back panel, I should have 20 inches when measured, because the first 18 rows gave me 10 inches, so the next 18 rows is also going to be 10 inches. So in total you should have 20 inches for your back panel. So this is what I have. So I realized that the yarn, the nude yarn, the tension, the weight was not the same as the others, so it kind of squeezed my work a little. So I'm going to add one more row to beat this. So there you go. So I added my one more row so that the tension would match. Now this is what the work looks like. You're going to go ahead and make this mixed colors the same exact how you mixed the colors for the 18 rows. You're going to mix the colors for your front panel, but this time you're going to make 16 rows instead of 18 for your first front panel. Now let me walk you through how to make the second front panel. So with the second front panel, you are going to start with a long chain. I prefer you make about 60 to 70 chains, so that after the row 1, when we measure to the back panel, we can pause our work. It's better to pause and cut your work than you running out of yarn and you running out of stitches and your work is not up. So row 1, we are going to skip 3. So bear in mind I made 70 chains. So skip 3, and in the 4th stitch you are going to place 2 double crochet. Skip 1, and in the next stitch you are going to place 2 double crochet. So this is the front panel. This is one side of the front panel. Skip 1 and make 2 double crochet in the next. The other front panel is just going to be the same as we did for the multicolored rows. So you are going to start that one by chaining 160 or whatever foundation chain you chain for the back panel, and work 16 rows of multicolors. So now this is what I have. So as I said, I made 70 chains. So I'm going to take this 70 chains. After row 1, I work until I go to the point where it measures the front panel. So bear in mind, one part of the front panel is horizontal and the other is vertical. So this is the horizontal part. So after measuring, you are going to cut off the excess chain and gently fasten to make a knot, so you don't have anything to worry about. So now row 2 of our horizontal panel, you are going to chain 3, turn your work, and in the very first stitch you are going to place 2 double crochets. In between your stitches you are going to place 2 double crochets. In between your stitches you are going to place 2 double crochets, and you are going to keep making 2 double crochets in between stitches until the end of the row. At the end of the row, you are going to place your last double crochet in the very last stitch. Now you are going to chain 3 and you are going to turn. For row 3 again, you are going to place 2 double crochets in the very first stitch. You are going to place 2 double crochet in between stitch. And place 2 double crochets in between your stitch, and you are going to keep repeating this until the end of the row. So you are going to go ahead and repeat row 2, row 3 until you get to the desired length for your front panel. So the vertical, we made 160 chains and worked our rows. So with the horizontal, you are only going to measure your work to your vertical. So my work measures 37 inches. So I'm going to make 30 inches, about 30 to or 29 inches of my horizontal panel, and I'm going to switch up and mix my colors for the rest of the 9 inches. So this is what I mean by your horizontal panel. So just keep working the length and always place it on your back panel to make sure you are working, the length is equivalent, like you are working same length. So now I've worked until this portion and it measures about 7 to 8 inches, and with this I just switch up my yarn to multicolored. I just switch it up until I had the same length with my back panel, which is 37 inches. So now at the end of my row for my 37 inches, I'm going to cut and fasten my work. So this is what you should be having for one side of the panel. The other side, as I said, is a multicolored row and it's a vertical row, just as we started with the back panel. So you are going to do the same exact thing, just that you are making 16 rows instead of 18. And if you are making for a size small and you made the back panel 15 rows, then the front panel would be 13 rows each. So just take 2 out of each of the front panel rows. So this is the back panel. Now we are going to lie our work in. So the right side will be facing you for the back panel and the front side. So you are going to place your work. So now with the front panels, the wrong side would be facing you. So place your work, and as you can see, the multicolored part goes, the front panel multicolored goes on the back panel straight single color. So you're just switching the panels exactly. And now we are going to be working closing off our shoulder. So insert your yarn in both panels and make a single crochet. Now in the very first space in your front panel, you are going to place 2 single crochet. Now to the back panel, the very first space, you are going to make a single crochet. 2 double crochet in the next space, your front panel, and a single crochet in your back panel. 2 double crochets in the front panel, a single crochet in the very next back panel. So you are going to just be alternating 2 double crochets, a single crochets until the end. So at the end of the row, you are going to place your last 2 double crochet and a single crochet. So that is it. Now we would have 2 stitches remaining for our panel, so you are going to make 2 single crochets in each space. So in total we would have 4. Now we move to the other side of our panel, our back panel, and again we place 2 single crochets inside the panel for each. So in total that would be 8 single crochets in all 4 stitches. Now we are going to take our back front panel, and now we are going to make a single crochet and yarn over, and inside the very first space in our front panel we are going to place 2 double crochets. So with this side, because the work is not aligning properly, you could see the edges are not really aligning properly. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to make a single crochet at the back panel first, and inside the first open space we are going to place 2 double crochet. Now we go in with the same place we made the single crochet, we are going to place another single crochet. So this is what our work would be. So I noticed when I was working, I noticed giving the back panel individual single crochet means that the back panel would be out of you would work it out whilst you still have a lot to work inside your front panel. So you are just going to be alternating between putting 2 single crochets in the same space for your back panel and alternating between 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet. 1 single crochet in the same space, 2 single crochets in the same space. So keep alternating until your work aligns very well. And at the end of the row, you are going to insert your hook in both panels, make a single crochet, chain 2 or 1, cut and fasten your yarn. Again, if connecting like this feels like a problem, just use your darning needle or just work single crochets all around to connect it. So you should be having something like this. So this is what your work should be looking like. Now we are going to go ahead and create our arm hole, our arm space, and close off the size of our work. So this is what your work should be looking like. Now with the arm space, if you're making for a size small, consider making 6 inches, measuring 6 inches and place your stitch marker. But for my size large, medium to large, consider making 8 inches space. And after you have placed your stitch marker, go ahead and count on both panels to make sure that is the same, is equal. So go ahead and count on both panel and adjust your stitch marker if needed. Now that we have both sides equal, we are going to start closing off from the bottom of our work. So this is what your work should be looking like. So let's start closing off from the bottom, and with closing off we are going to be using single crochets with slip stitches. So the reason with single crochet with slip stitches is because we will close off our yarn, both the front and the back panel, And with my excess yarn, I want to secure it. So with the first 3 stitches, I'm going to make single crochet to secure that the excess yarn over there. So yeah, insert your hook in the front panel. In the same exact stitch at the back panel, make a single crochet. Now that I have secured, now I'll go in with slip stitches. So the same exact way, insert your hook in both front and back panel, pull through. So this is what slip stitches is. So you insert your hook in both panels and pull through. Also, with connecting the panels, you can use your darning needle to sew in, or you can go in with single crochets or single crochets throughout until you get to the stitch marker space, or you can use slip stitches throughout until you get to the stitch marker space. It's not necessary for you to secure your ends just as I did. Now I'm at the stitch marker space, but I realize I have one stitch at the front panel, one excess stitch, which I want you to know is very normal. Sometimes the work is not very accurate. So what I did is I made the single crochet in the same stitch. So now we are going to be working our arm. So chain 3, and in the very first chain 1 space, we are going to place 2 double crochets. In the next chain 1 space, place in the next space, you are going to place 2 double crochets. So it's not a chain 1 space, it's in between our stitches. We are going to be placing 2 double crochets, just as we did for the main work. So this is where we connected our yarn. So in that space, you are going to place 2 double crochets as well. And now we move to our chain 1 space. So inside our first chain 1 space at the upper part of our work, you place 2 double crochets and go ahead and place 2 double crochets in each of our chain 1 space until the end of the row. So at the end of the row, so I intentionally skip the very first stitch and also the very last stitch because I want to decrease my work. But if you want your armhole to be very equal, then when you chain 3, place your 2 double crochet in that very first stitch. Yes, so what I am doing is I'm placing it in the next stitch. Exactly, because I want my arm, the sleeve, to be tight. But if you want it like a bit loose, then don't decrease. So what I'm doing, I'm just decreasing my work by row. Again, if you don't want to decrease, then go inside the very first stitch with your 2 double crochet and end again with 2 double crochet in the very last stitch before you slip stitch. That would give you a more equal sleeve without decreasing. Now chain 3 for row 3 again. In my next stitch, because I am decreasing, so in my next stitch I'm placing 2 double crochets and I'm going to go ahead and place 2 double crochets in each stitch until the end of the row. So keep working this for 6 rows, and I'll meet you when I'm done with my row 6. So at the end of the row, you are going to slip stitch. So now this is go ahead and work until row 6, and I'll meet you at the end of row 6. So this is my 6 rows completed, and as I said, you can see the decrease going on. So how it started, you would see the work is decreasing as it goes. So I'm going to cut off my yarn, and I'm going to connect my next color for row 7. Now row 7 is going to be a half double crochet row. So start with 2 chains, and now we are going to be working in each stitch. So in every stitch you are going to place a half double crochet. So work half double crochet inside each stitch until the end of the row. If you've made it up until this point of the video, just leave a heart sign under the comment section. It's always beautiful to know. So at the end of the row, you are going to slip stitch on top of the chain 2 space. Now row 8, you are going to chain 2 and place half double crochet in each stitch all around until the end of the row. So after row 8, I'll switch up my color again, but if you don't want to switch up your color, then just use the same color for row 9 and 10. So row 8, I'm going to work until the end of the row. So now you slip stitch, and now row 9, I'm going to change my color. So make a slip knot and chain 2, and it's also a half double crochet row, just that for row 9 and 10 I would be working, my wrong side would be facing me, and in the same I would work half double crochet. So work half double crochet in each stitch all around until the end of the row. So row 9 and row 10 is the same. So row 10, I'm going to switch up to my initial color and work row 10, but you can use the same color you use for your row 9. Whichever way you want to switch up is up to you, but I am just going to switch to my original color for my row 10, and that row 10 will be the end of our sleeves. So that is me slip stitching, and you're going to chain 1 or 2, cut and fasten your work. And now this is what your sleeves should be looking like after row 10. Now we are going to go ahead and work the same exact leave our space, our armhole space, and connect our work. So now with connecting the vertical and the horizontal, we are going to go in with a single crochet. And now with the horizontal stitch, that is the front panel, we are going to be going in with 2 double crochets. So we slip stitch, and inside the same stitch you are going to go in again. We are going to be slip stitching 2 times in the front panel, and the back panel would be to each stitch. So better explain, slip stitch. So inside the same stitch you go in again. With the back panel we are working one stitch at a time, but with the front panel we are working 2 stitches in and we slip stitch. So just watch what I'm doing. I think watching it would you clearly get it more than me explaining at this point. So I'm done slip stitching, and now we are going to chain 3 and we are going to go inside the next space and work 2 double crochets. So we are going to go ahead and work our 2 double crochets in each stitch until I get to the middle, and I'll show you what to do. The middle means where we connected our shoulder, right? So work until the shoulder part. So now I'm at the shoulder, and in that line we are going to place 2 double crochets. Now with the horizontal we are going to be placing 2 double crochets in each space. We are not skipping any, so we are placing 2 double crochets in each space until the end of the row. So when you are counting the vertical and the horizontal, again when you are leaving your armhole, make sure the number of stitches you counted for the vertical should be the same number of stitches you counted for the horizontal, because we are treating each row as to the vertical. So at the end of the row we are going to slip stitch on top of our chain 3 space. There you go. So that's row 1 of our arm. You are going to chain 3. In the very next stitch you are going to place 2 double crochets, just as we did for the other side. Now you are going to follow the pattern. Work your row 2 of your granny stitch, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6 of your granny stitches, and you are going to switch up and work your half double crochet rows until the end of your work. In total you should have 10 rows. So that is it, and this is what your work should be looking like. Now if you want to end here, this is a perfect kimono, but if you want to attach your collar and bottom, then meet me in class tomorrow and I'll show you how to make a perfect collar and also add some tricks to this top to make the waist more tighter and defined. Until we meet next week in class, no, just tomorrow in class, is bye for now. Stay safe. I love you. Kisses.